Of the what he's saying, government's excuse that there was an error with regards to the Grand Bahama road paving project contract. Can you respond to that concern and what Mr. Pintard would have said?
Well, I think clearly he doesn't understand what the statement said. The statement didn't say that there was an error with regard to the contract itself. What it said was that the contract, the allocation had been paused by the Prime Minister and should not have made it to the list. And where the error was is the publication of something which doesn't really stand anymore. So that's the issue. What he has to really say is whether or not the Free National Movement supports the expansion and investment in the infrastructure in Grand Bahama. And it is remarkable that a party that would take the position that he does, I mean, Grand Bahama in particular needs infrastructural development from 8 Mile Rock all the way to West End. All the side roads need to be done, the main roads need to be done, and the seawalls needs to be redesigned and repaired. Lots need to be cleared. All of that stuff needs to be done. It's a pressing need for Grand Bahama. It's remarkable that you would have a Bahamian vendor who's able to be qualified by an international financial agency, independent of any support of the government. And so all of it was a go. The problem is that there are certain things which needed to be reviewed. The prime minister, when he saw that, said, "Look, we have to go another direction. For the time being, it's being reviewed." And as the statement says, when that review is done, we will let the public know. But the main issue is the urgent infrastructural work that needs to be done in West Grand Bahama, and the F&M should not be standing in the way of that.
I know Mr. Pritchard criticized that government was denying other businesses to, I guess, bid on those contracts. Can you respond to that?
Well, under the Public Procurement Act, when it was passed, the Progressive Liberal Party made it clear that this was, in our view, a pretext by the Free National Movement to give contracts to the usual group of people who have monies in this country. And our view was there had to be some protections for the ability of the government to open up the market to other vendors. And that's been largely successful. So this is often called single sourcing. And there's nothing unlawful about it. There are circumstances under which it can be done, and the law is followed, so there's nothing unlawful. I say again, brave Davis doesn't do foolishness, so nothing unlawful, done properly with good motives. And the particular vendor, and I want to keep their names out of it because they're not the issue. And I was really saddened that the Free National Movement's chairman, who said that it doesn't add up. I think his math must be faulty. But it brought them into this because it's not them. What it is a successful group of Bahamians who were able to create a company. They were able to pre-qualify. And the way the project works is that it's not just them. They are essentially project managers, and they share the work around. Some 40 subcontractors, all Grand Bahamians, would have had work, would have been working now, had this proceeded. Uh, but as I said, things are going in another direction, and but it's all for the benefit of the people of Grand Bahama.
I think Mr. Pintard and Mr. Sands would have suggested that the Prime Minister is blaming the staff on error instead of, I guess, taking responsibility. What's your response to that?
That's not so either. If you look at the statement, it says that things were brought to a conclusion. A conclusion means that the conclusion means that there was a cabinet conclusion on the matter, but the prime minister paused the matter. So there's no attempt to hide anything from people. This is quite open. And the thing is, these people are former ministers of the government, and they know what often happens in the business of government. That's just the way it happens sometimes. So there's no ill intent, there's no improper motive. All this rubbish that they're talking about malfeasance is just complete nonsense. And all I say is the F&M should not be standing in the way of infrastructural development in Grand Bahama. They should be assisting and supporting instead of standing in the way.
Mr. Pintard was also, again, critical of the Prime Minister's travel. He suggested that the Prime Minister should stay home and do his job. What's your response to that?
Uh, you know, Pintard is an interesting fellow. He needs to tell the Bahamian public why he can't keep control of his own political party. When he's able to explain that, then perhaps we'd answer him on these other issues. The fact is that whatever official travel is done by the Prime Minister is for the greater benefit of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. The evidence is there of the benefit to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, including Grand Bahama. And while people can try and make an issue out of it, they cannot argue with the success of the policies. And that's what counts is, are the policies successful? Is the Bahamas better off than it was when Mr. Pintard and his colleagues were in power? The answer is yes. And so the Prime Minister has acted always in the best interests of the country and will continue to do so.
So, on another issue, the Trump administration is cutting back now on illegal immigration. A Bahamian was arrested, taken in by ICE a few weeks ago in Florida. What's the concern there? Will be your advice to Bahamians in the States at this time who are in the country undocumented?
I don't have any specific concern myself because, in my experience as minister over 3 terms, I've dealt with these deportations before. So people who are in the United States unlawfully, just as they are in the Bahamas unlawfully, are repatriated to their home countries. What I was raising was the fact that because of this internal pressure in the United States, many Bahamians who've been away from the country for many years, who've not looked at getting a Bahamian passport, who are perhaps permanent residents, have not visited their country in ages, are going now to our consulates trying to get a passport because they realize now that if worst comes to worst, they have to leave. The fact is, of course, the laws changed in 1973 about who is a Bahamian citizen, and of course there are rules as to how you prove whether you're a Bahamian citizen or not. These procedures sometimes are lengthy in nature, and people are complaining about the nature of those procedures. And all I would do in the case of in those circumstances is argue that people should exercise patience with regard to it.
So, how significant has the increase been? Would you say? Persons looking for a passport.
I only have the anecdotal evidence. The passport office says in Nassau that they're able to keep up with whatever demand there is. But just walking along through the airports on the streets, people are stopping me and saying, why does it take so, why are the procedures so complicated? Once you get all the documentation, the passport office says that within 7 days they're able to keep up with the regular requests. But the issue, of course, is the documentation that you need before. So, for example, if you are a Bahamian by descent and you were born outside the Bahamas, and you need an apostille to certify that the birth certificate you have from the United States is authentic. So that takes a while. It's things of that nature. Yeah. It's
All right.
going.
Anything else you want to add?
Well, the last thing I wanted to comment on is that again, I see where some spokesman for the FNM, the former tourism ministers in the newspaper, and as was the leader of the opposition, again seeming to side with the failed developer of Bahamar against the Bahamian people. The fact is that whatever that judgment is in the United States, and of course there are many people who question the legal efficacy of it, the fact is that Bahamar itself was sold legitimately to a new developer who finished and opened the project, and the jobs of the Bahamians who work there are safe. That's the bottom line, and all of this fuss that's being made in the public domain trying to drag the government into something in which it's not involved is simply unacceptable. And I would advise the FNM and their spokespersons to desist in that effort.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mitchell.
You're welcome.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.